With this sequence, I introduce you to the doweling. Now, if you don't have a doweling, you can also use a hockey stick or a broom or any kind of tool that looks like that. The only downside to those tools is that they've got a heavier end, but they will still work. We're going to be playing around with the doweling as it relates to the shoulder girdle, and it can be so illuminating in terms of what is going on through your shoulder girdle and how your shoulder girdle relates to your hips by using this little prop. So if you want to take a pause and then grab a dowel or something like that, then you can join me for this next bit. We are going to do 3 ways with the dowel, 7 exercises. The first one is in standing. We're going to be taking the arm bone back into extension and then bending the elbow so that the forearm is parallel to the floor. So the idea here is moving that arm back. And we'll be getting into tissue in through this front area and connecting onto the arm. Now you might not feel a specific stretch as you do it, but know that there'll be things happening in there even if you don't feel it. Now a couple things to keep in mind as you come back into it is really focus on the arm coming back and not the ribs coming forward. This isn't a spinal extension or a rib thrust. It's the arm moving relative and back compared to your torso, okay? So here we are in the position. You'll feel the doweling against your back. The forearm is parallel to the floor, yeah? And then from here, we're basically in Tadasana. Ball of the foot, center of the heel, base of your pinky toe. And you're tall, but you don't need to be like lifting through your spine, but you'll probably notice some things with the doweling. Some of you will feel that you are taller because you've got the doweling where it is. Now, of course, if there's any numbing or fullness in your hands or the extension is too much through your shoulder, then come on out of this. Okay, now from here, we're going to keep the position of the dowel. We're going to come into pyramid pose. Now, pyramid pose looks like this, where the pelvis moves on the leg bones and we come forward. Now, traditionally, what you'll often see, or you'll, as a student or a teacher, is people coming in like this. So they do more of a flexion through the spine as opposed to moving through their pelvis. They'll also lead with their chin like this. You can actually hear my voice change when I do that. They'll lead with the chin. So when you've got the dowel here, you now get to feel what it is that you're doing more clearly. So if you're not moving through the pelvis and the legs, instead you're coming in through your ribs or your spine, you'll feel the rounding. Well, I've got to rub my nose here. You'll feel the rounding of your spine and you'll feel that against the dowel. So you'll know where you're at in relationship between your shoulders and your hips. So just move yourself into it. And you might even notice if you want to hyperextend your front knee. So I find that people who don't always tend to be hyperextenders, but are a little bit limited in their hips, this is where I'll often see it happen. So you might want to bend that front knee just a tiny, tiny, tiny little bit, and then come back in and notice what's going on with your hips relative to your legs as you move forward. Good, and then come back up. Okay, other side. Feel the ball of the foot, base of the pinky toe, center of the heel. And just get to notice where you want to lead from, how you want to do the movement, where are you deviating or compensating. Good job. And then come back up. Lovely. Okay, now we're going to take the doweling over our head. So doweling comes up and reach it up. And then gently move to the side. Now, as you go to the side, feel the ball of the foot, base of the pinky toe, and center of the heel. On both feet, even the one you're moving away from. So even though my weight is more onto one side, I can still feel the other. And then come back. And then other side. And then come back up. Other side. Feeling the center of the heel, ball of the foot, base of pinky toe, and a real easiness of your breathing. All right, lovely. And then just take a breather. Bring the arms back down. Notice what you feel. And now bring the arms back up. And start to bring the arms hands a bit wider, and the arms come down behind your head. Now, the movement here is the arms are coming back behind you and then bringing the arms down. We're not bringing the head forward in order to bring the arms back, much like that very first one that we did. So the arms come back. So you might be just learning the movement here and working with bringing the arms behind you. If you can do that easily, now you can start to bring the arms down. And maybe you're only coming this far. Maybe that's the range that you have. But if you've got it and it's easy and you're moving through your elbows and your shoulders, then you can come down as far as those eyes. So you can be here and you can be here, anywhere along that spectrum. And the furthest would be alongside those eyes. Now, a lot of times, if you're someone who works quite a bit in front of the computer and you're in a bit of a hunched position, generally speaking with a lot of your work, being up here will help see that and will help free up some of that tissue. And you can also hold this position, or you can move through it. But you've got to pay attention to what it is that you're feeling. Notice any deviations or compensations in your movement. That's your first sign that you should stop before that. If there's anything in your elbows or your wrists or your knuckles, if you're kind of thinking, oh, I don't know if I should be there, then back off a little bit. Find a place where there's not a doubt. That's the best way to work with these kinds of videos, when someone can't actually see you. Okay, and now take a breather there. We're going to do one more with arms over the head. You decide whether it's appropriate. We're adding a little bit more load. So if you're someone who just was taking the arms behind your head and working with that, stay with that. Don't do this one. Use this one for later. And if you're moving through this range, but we're only about here, again, work with that range. Don't do this one. Wait till you get through to this position, easy peasy, before you do this next one, which is this. The doweling is going to come up, same hand position. You're going to gently pull on that doweling a little bit. So there's a bit of a muscle contraction to pull, as if you could pull that doweling apart. And now you're going to take that doweling behind your head, and then keep that pull on, and then up. This becomes a bit of hard work. So you're very specifically attempting to pull that doweling apart. Okay, lovely. Good, and then let that go. Okay, let's just take a breather, roll through the shoulders, move through the body. Good, and then just get a feel for what it is you feel now. So leave the dowel or the broomstick or the hockey stick beside you, and now notice your shoulders and your hands. All right, so now we're going to do a bit of one similar to the first one that looked a little like this, but now we're going to take the hands a little further along. Now, if your dowel or your stick's a bit longer, you might be able to have room to take those arms wider, but with the arm in extension and starting to straighten that elbow, you're going to feel all sorts of sensations and maybe even some limitations. So pay attention to what those experiences are as you move the arms wide along the dowel. So this is the third way of using that dowel. Okay, now from here, we can bring the legs into goddess. So legs rotate in the hip sockets. Feel the center of the heel, ball of the foot, base of the pinky toe, and start to lower. Now you determine where you want your arms to be, whether you want them to be more extended like that or closer in. Good. And you can even add a twist. Watch that you don't extend through your spine, that you're keeping the torso exactly as it is. Good. And then come up. Okay, now rotate one leg, get yourself ready for warrior two. You can straighten through those elbows or not. And you can even come into an extended side angle. And even into a triangle. Extended side angle and warrior two. And coming up, and other side. Warrior two. Extended side. And the great thing about playing with extended side angle this way is you can't let your hand rest on your leg. So this will help to strengthen your legs as well. And then play around with triangle. And extended side. Warrior two. And up. Lovely. Okay, and drop through that dowel. And now, notice what it is that you feel. Feeling the center of the heel, ball of the foot, base of the pinky toe. Let's bring the arms up overhead. Palms touch, hands come down. Arms up over the head. Palms touch, hands come down. Arms up over the head. Palms touch, come on down. Arms can come behind you or they can come onto your hips, moving forward into pyramid. Coming back up, spinning around, arms back behind or on your hips, pyramid. Coming back up, legs long and wide. Rotate at the hips, goddess pose. Hands behind the thighs, pressing the thighs back, and then up. Warrior two. Extended side. Triangle. Extended side. Warrior two. Up. Warrior two. Extended side. Triangle. extended side, warrior two, and up. Let's, for fun, come back to triangle, but this time, think about your pubic bone and your nose. We'll bring back the doweling for a bonus exercise here of just moving into your triangle, keeping your nose and your pubic bone in a line. And then back up. Triangle. And back up. Coming back into standing. And notice now the experience of what you're feeling between your hips and your shoulders and your spine, your feet, and any other quality that you're experiencing in terms of lightness or ease, however you might describe it. And take that with you for the rest of your day. You know what you have with a doweling now. Any kind of stick that you can explore as you work with your shoulders and as you work with your hips. You have a great practice. Here's to more ease. We'll see you next time.